1970s are calling, Sean Connery's in the starring role. I guess that means it's time for making meteors. Hey, and welcome to Making Space. And yeah, this episode is looking at creating atmospheric re-entry effects. You won't need any pay-for plugins, although you will need VC Orb. It is possible to use CC Sphere for this. Check out my tutorial on Making Mercury for the steps you'll need to take. And I'll be honest and say, if you do own Video Copilot's Element 3D plugin, you'll be able to incorporate a 3D model, whether it's a rock or a spaceship, which will probably give you a better overall result. You can use C4D Lite here, but it's a little more awkward. And while you're downloading Orb from Video Copilot, you should also grab their free Saber plugin too. Just quickly, to clarify your basic space nomenclature, naming thing, proper names, the naming description-y thing. If it's a rock in space, it's an asteroid. If it's falling into the atmosphere of a planet, it's a meteor. Any bits of rock that land are meteorites. If it's in space leaving an ice trail, it's a comet. And if it contains alien DNA intent on creating a portal to elsewhere in the universe, that's the protomolecule and a soon-to-be dated reference. Today, as if you didn't know from the title, thumbnail and preview, we're doing the flaming rock one. I'm going to do the rock version in this tutorial, but I'll include the space shuttle model in the project download so you can see how to apply it to re-entry sequences instead of meteors. Let's get started. Here's my 1080p comp. And first thing I'm going to do is create a texture for my rock. Go to Layer, New, Solid. Make sure it's comp sized and click OK. Hit enter and rename it Rock Text. And then go to Effect, Immersive, VR Fractal Noise. This gives us a seamless texture. Regular fractal or turbulent noise works here too, you just have to work a bit to hide the joins. Set the fractal type to Turbulent Sharp, set the contrast to 260, and the brightness to -65. Expand subsettings and set the sub influence to 75. And now go to Effect, Color Correction, Tint, and set the map black to a dark brown, and the map white to a beige color. Padlock this layer and turn off the visibility. Create another solid, name it Orb or Rock or whatever. And now go to Effect, Video Copilot, VC Orb. Set the radius a little smaller, around 160. In Material set the glossiness to 0 and the specular to 0.5. In Maps set the diffuse map to our rock text layer. And set the second drop down to Effects and Masks. Set it for Bump as well, but up the intensity to 10. In UV, set the type to Box. In my mind it gives a more of an irregular look. Now go to Layer, New, Null Object. Name it Meteor Null. And make it 3D. Hit P to expose the position properties and then go back to the orb effect. And use the pick whip to link orb's position to the null's position. And then hold Alt and click on the Z rotation. In the expressions area type time times -50, so the rock will roll as it falls. For this animation we're not going to move the rock, instead we'll be flying the camera past it to create the illusion of movement. It's simpler that way. Go ahead and create a new camera by going to Layer, New, Camera. And holding Alt while one of the camera tools is selected, you can fly around your rock. It's all a little too perfect. If you've been using VC Element here, then you would have used a rock model instead and problem solved. But there is a hack we can do to give the appearance of a misshapen rock. Make sure your orb layer is selected and then go to Effect, Distort, Turbulent Displace. set the type to vertical displace, and if I preview the effect in the timeline, you can see the effect. If I move the camera too much though, it becomes more obvious, so it's worth planning your shots and limiting the camera movement. Drop the size to 50. Alt-click on the offset value and in the expressions area type this comp.layer brackets quotes meteor null quotes close brackets dot to comp brackets square brackets 0, 0, 0 close everything up. Turbulent displace is a 2D effect, but we can link it to the 3D coordinates of the meteor null using this expression. I'm not planning on moving the rock, but this way it's easier to control if I do. Now for the particles. Create another 3D null and make sure it's called null1. And go to Effect, Expression Controls, 3D Point Control, and copy this expression from the description below. And while you're down there, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I get a natural dopamine hit when I see my sub count increasing, and if it doesn't go up, I go cold turkey. It's not a serious problem. I just look at YouTube Studio and go, "Aw," but I'd much rather go, "Woo." Having copied the expression, alt-click on null1's position property and paste it in. We're going to hang our particles off this null, and we want it linked to the rock, but we want it in front a little. So set 3D point control to -150, 0, and 0. And if I need to, I can adjust this later using the 3D point control. Create another solid and name it Flames. And now if you've seen my solving tutorial on linking CC Particle World to a 3D null, go ahead and apply that preset. If you haven't, check out the link in the description as it includes the expressions needed to link CC Particle World's producer to a null object named null1. Go to the 2-second mark on the timeline and set a keyframe for the birth rate to 0. Then go to the 10-second point and set it to 25, so the flames increase. Set the longevity to 2 seconds. In Producer, set the Y and Z radiuses to both be 0.15. In Physics, set the type to Fractal Omni to give it a more organic, less perfect shape. Set the velocity to -0.3. We want the particles to be spitting out from the rock. Set gravity to 1, but alt-click on the stopwatch and type wiggle brackets 3, 0.3 close brackets. Gravity is going to be our speed indicator, but by wiggling the amount we get a wind-like effect. Set extra to 1.08 and extra angle to 270 degrees. These controls affect the noise and do so in different ways depending on the noise type chosen. For Fractal Omni, extra is the frequency of evolution of the noise, and extra angle is the starting point of the evolution. Expand gravity vector and set x to 1 and y to 0. In Particle, set the type to Shaded Sphere, not Faded. Shaded will give us a better flame effect. Set the birth size to 0.4 and the death size to 0.7. Set the size variation to 100% and the max opacity to 9%. Set the birth color to an orange and the death color to an orangey red. Set the effects transfer mode to add and turn on motion blur for the layer. With the effect selected, hit enter and rename it Flames. Then go to Edit, Duplicate. Rename this copy to Mass. We're going to add a black particle to obscure all the flames which are meant to be behind the rock. Alt-click on the birth rate and type if brackets time is less than this comp.frame duration, close brackets open curly brackets 1, close curlies, else, open curlies, 0, close curlies. This expression I used in my stars tutorial sets the birth rate to 1 for the first frame of the comp and then fixes it at 0 afterwards. Set the longevity to 4. In Producer, set X and Y radiuses to 0.06 and Z to 0. In Physics, turn off velocity and gravity by setting them to 0 and clearing out the expression 2. And in particle, set the type to faded sphere. And the birth size to 1.2, and the death size to match. Set max opacity to 100%. Expand opacity map and making sure the select tool is, selected. Fill in the space. And set the transfer mode to black matte. And in extras, check the composite with original checkbox. And set the layers transfer mode to add. Duplicate the flames layer and name it Sparks. Solo the layer. Now select the mass effect and drag it above the flames effect. Expand its extras and uncheck the composite with original. Rename flames to Sparks and then click on the birth rate stopwatch to get rid of the existing values. Then go to 1 second on the timeline and set a birth rate to 0 with a keyframe. Then go to 5 seconds and set a new keyframe to 5. Drop the longevity to 1 second. In Producer, set the X and Y radiuses to 0.06 and the Z to 0. In Physics, set the type back to explosive and set the velocity to 0.5. And in Particle, set the type to faded sphere. The birth and death sizes to 0.05, the size variation to 50%, and the max opacity to 75%, and change the transfer mode to composite. And in Extra, check the composite with original checkbox. Let's make it a bit brighter. Go to Effect, Stylize, Glow, and up the intensity to 2.2. If I play it back, you can see what that mass effect is doing. It's cutting out the rock quite nicely. Duplicate the flames layer one more time. Drag it beneath the orb layer and rename it Smoke. Delete the mass effect, uncheck the birth rate stopwatch again, and set a keyframe for 0 at the 5 second mark, and 1 at the 10 second mark to 40. Set the longevity to 20 and set the Y radius to 0.025 to match X and set the Z radius to 0. In Particle, change the type to faded sphere. Set the birth size to 0.7 and the depth to 1 and set max opacity to 40%. And set the transfer mode to black matte, and the layers transfer mode to normal. Playing that back. We're getting there. Let's add our stars background. I have a preset for this. And now go to Layer, New, Light. Make it a spotlight, set the cone angle to 45 degrees and click OK. Parent it to Meteor Null and set the position properties to be -1000, 0, 0. And up the intensity to 200%. And now set a keyframe at 0 seconds for the colour, so we start at white, and then at 3 seconds set it to be orange. So the meteor looks like it's starting to heat up. But let's go further. Create a new black solid and name it Flame Text. And go to Effect, Video Copilot, Saber. Change the preset to Inferno. And set the coordinates to be at the top of the solid, 0 by 50 and 1920 by 50. Set the glow spread to 0.2, the glow bias to 1.54, and the core size to 10. In flicker, set the intensity to 100% and the speed to 30. In distortion glow, set the wind speed to 25 and the direction to 90 and drop the scale to 500. In core distortion, set the wind speed to 10, the direction to 90, the noise speed to 0.5 and the noise scale to 25. So what we've done is create an animated fire texture. Turn it off, drag it to the bottom of the comp and padlock it. Duplicate the orb layer, rename it to Orb Fire. And solo it. Set the type to hemisphere and set the size to 210. Disable the Z rotation expression and set it to -90. In material, set glossiness to 1 and zero out specular. In materials advanced options, we want to feather this sphere. I'm going to add the fire texture to it, so this will be like an atmosphere for our rock. Set edge feather to 1 and edge shrink to 0.25. In maps, set the texture to flame text and set bump to none. In UV, set the type to spherical, and then to make it brighter, go to Effect, Stylize Glow, and set the radius to 150. And keyframe the layer to fade in over about 1.5 seconds. Set the layer's transfer mode to screen, unsolo it and preview what we've got. Last touches. For Earth, I used this lovely royalty-free still from Pixabay. I made it 3D and in material properties turned off accept lights. I then positioned it way back in space, minus 10,000 pixels on the x-axis, and I scaled it up to about 420%. Make sure everything is set with motion blur and you're done. For the shuttle version, I had to increase CC Particle World's producer radiuses, and I added a texture to the flame particles, as it looks better when scaled that way. For the element version, I used Rock 3 from the starter pack and a World Transform null as Meteor null. And that really is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do choose to use it in one of your projects, let me know in the comments below, I'd love to see it. Recently I listed out all my tutorial ideas and found that I have about 2 years worth to share, so there's plenty more to come. See you next time on Making!